Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Welcome to Bravo with Sheila Network. It's a great day here. Usually I say it's a great day here on the East Coast, but today I'm saying it's a great day here on the West Coast, right? So some of you that follow me and that are always here, you see that I'm not in my regular studio. I am here in Cali, and I've been having such an incredible time here. A lot has been going on, but I'm more excited about my guest tonight than anything else. It's been some time trying to schedule him, and not because of him, but because of me. I had to keep rescheduling. But tonight is a night. I'm telling you, we're going to talk about so much, and I'm so excited about our guest tonight. We give him a bravo. We salute him. We're saluting him and giving him bravos tonight, although he gets them all the time. I salute this gentleman that's going to be here tonight to talk with us, to share with us, and to give us a wonderful up close and personal understanding about his life and things that have happened in his life and what he's done since that time. Like, life be life and all the time, right? So there's always something to talk about. But my excitement is about Jeffery because I admire him. I admire, as we say, his grind. I admire his push. I admire him because he admires so many people and he does so many things for so many other people. And I'm excited about it because I want to chat with him about his life, about what happened to him some years ago and how he overcame so many different obstacles, as we all do, but he is especially one that we're giving a bravo to. So right now, I'm going to give him a bravo with a round of applause and say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, that bravo is for Jeffery Lorenzo Williams. And again, I see some of my people are already here loading up in the chat. I see some of you up there, up in the balcony. Maybe you bought an expensive seat and you're in the orchestra. Maybe you have a box ticket. I don't know. But I'm just happy that you're here. I pray that you hit that thumbs up button on the way in. You know that matters to us in these YouTube streets. It may not mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to us that are here doing what we do in these YouTube streets. Listen, we're here. We're taking super chats tonight. If you'd like to bless this ministry, not ministry, well, it is kind of slash a ministry because I'm always talking about something encouraging. But if you'd like to bless the Bravo with Sheila Network, you can go ahead and do a super chat. You see that dollar in the box on the bottom in your right in your chat area. You see that dollar. Some of you might say, well, what the heck is a super chat? A super chat is something that you can tap on. You can do $1.99, $3.99, $5.99, everything that people give. It helps me to make us look better and be better in these YouTube streets. So we are here tonight, and I'm excited. I'm just so, as you can tell, I'm always excited, but I'm super excited tonight. I see people coming in and I'm happy about that. And of course, you know who I'm going to salute first is the best moderator in these YouTube streets. That's right. My day one, when it was just one, she was the one on both channels. She was the one. Her name is Nia. She is the best moderator. We have class manners in our chat. She greets. It's a greeting type of situation. We love people here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. All we want to do is infuse you with power and get you back up again. If you're broken on the side of the road, we want to get you back up again and give you a bravo. And so tonight, you know how I always tell you, give yourself a bravo just because. Give yourself a bravo just because, and you don't need permission to give yourself a bravo because you woke up this morning and pressed your way through. I'm giving you a special bravo. Yes, we are loading up in the chat. I'm going to greet the guests in a little while, but before that, I'd like to bring up this incredible human being, right? But before I bring him up, there's so much to say. I'm not going to spill the beans totally because I like to see Jeffery flow. I like to see him like do his own thing. You know, I like to see how it comes up and comes out. And so I want you to know, he says, my feet are off the ground. We're talking about Jeffery Lorenzo Williams. Yes. And he has a quote that he likes to give. I want you to hear my story. I don't want you to be my story. That is so powerful. Now, let me tell you right now, there is so much to talk about. There's so much to share. I told him when we were backstage, I don't think we're going to be able to do this in one sitting. We're going to have to bring him back for a part 2, maybe 3 and a 4. I don't know. I just think he needs to be seen over and over weekly. I believe he should be seen, and he's being seen all over the place. He did something special yesterday. I'm going to let him tell you about it. Let me tell you, Jeffery Lorenzo Williams is a New York-based keynote speaker, author, real estate broker, and the creative force behind the amazing shoe and fashion brand, J. Lorenzo. He's also a wonderful mentor and model and legal finance administrator for major corporations. Truly, listen, he's showcasing his incredible talents across many, many different places, many states. He's media recognition. Let's get a little bit of that in. Jeff's impactful story and powerful message have garnered significant media attention. And when I say significant, he's been out here. He don't limit him to some national. No, he's been everywhere. And God is opening up major doors for him, for his story and his encouragement. He's been seen on CNN and BronxNet TV and featured also in a prominent publications like the New York Times, Daily News and AM News. He has also been a guest on several podcasts where he continues to share his inspiring story. Listen, he has a global mission. Yes, he does. Belonging and empowerment. His mission is to tirelessly, I said the word what? Yeah, tirelessly promote the rights and dignity of people with disabilities across every facet of society, from local communities to a global scale. He works ceaselessly with eliminating barriers and challenges and stereotypes and help create a world that truly values and embraces. Listen, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop there because I want the man himself to come up and share with you about his life, where he's been, how he became this big Jeffery Lorenzo Williams, moving into all of these places because of, I don't want to use the disability word, the challenges that interrupted his life. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him up to this stage. Yes, I am. Let me bring him up. I can just get him up. There he is.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
I'm great. So honored to be here tonight.
Before
so we even get started, I just want to say hello to the audience. I want to thank y'all for being a part of this monumental moment for me. And like Sheila said earlier, because I love supporting each other, let's hit them thumbs up right now before we even get started.
That's right. I'm trying to pull you up on the screen. I forgot to do it, but I'm doing it now. And yes, we welcome you. We welcome you and we thank you. And you heard what the man said. Hit that like button. Go ahead and smash that thumb. So listen, I want to, before we start, we'll give you some more round of applause because I'm giving you another bravo, a bravo, a bravo. Thank you. Giving you your bravo. Yes. Jeffery, it's such a wonderful, wonderful time to have you here. And it's a wonderful time in your life. And there's so much to share. I'm going to kind of segue, but then I know you like to be turned loose a little bit, so we're not going to make this so we're not going to make this so structured. But for those that don't know, there's a couple of things I want to set up before we do. Many people are challenged and defined, and they define themselves by their struggles, right? People do that every day. But I believe you were like 13 years old, 13 when your life totally changed. And so I want to ask this first question, and then we're going to just let things flow. And I'm sure you will give us so much information inside of what you did and how you overcame and how you're still overcoming. So we're going to flow that way. But what I want to ask you is, how did you define your own identity and sense of purpose after the accident, moving beyond what happened to you? That's my first question. And I think that'll set you up for you to flow when it happened, what you can remember and what you went through, emotionally and mentally or whatever. Just do what you want to do. I'll interrupt you ever so often to ask some things. But right now, I just want you to share with the people in the audience. We have people up in the bleachers, up in the expensive seats, and we have the chat building up right now. You have the floor to answer that question, and we'll just jump in for your story, sir.
So when I was 13 years old, what changed my whole life was the fact that I was accidentally shot by one of my friends playing with a gun. And when I first thought about, where I would go from there and, how this would impact my life, there was like being 13, you just really, when you put yourself in that age bracket, you thinking you're just reaching puberty. You're just really starting to live your life, and trying to figure out who you're going to be in life, who you're going to be in the future, what you're going to do in life and things like that, what type of things you want to accomplish. And it was almost like somebody just pulled the plug out of my future. And, just to go back a little bit into the story, it was the last day of school. I was in the Bronx at Sacred Heart Junior High School. And my friend came to pick me up from the school, and he said that he had some bikes and he wanted us to go back to his house. So me and my brother ended up going back to his house to ride the bikes. And when we got to his house, he went in the room and came out with a 22 revolver. And me growing up in the Bronx and, watching gangster movies on TV and things that I was exposed to in the neighborhoods that I lived in at the time in Hotbridge, like guns was like fascinating to me, and so when he brought the gun out, I was immediately excited to play with the gun and hold the gun. So I asked him, could I hold it? And he came over and let me hold the gun. So I had the gun in my hand, and immediately my brother objected to it. He was like, look, stop playing with the gun, put the gun up. And my friend was like, I kept telling my brother, don't worry about it. It's probably not real. But when I felt the weight of the gun, I realized that it was real. So I handed the gun back to my friend. So he continued to play with the gun. He ended up pointing the gun at me. He was standing a couple of feet from me, and he pulled the trigger. When he pulled the trigger, I just saw a ball of fire coming at my head. So I grabbed my head, and the bullet ended up going under my arm. So he dropped the gun, and everybody in the room, my brother, him, we all like was shocked at the explosion. And at first, because of watching TV, I'm thinking I was going to get a different reaction because the bullet had hit me. So I'm thinking I didn't really feel no pain at the moment, because as soon as the bullet hit me, my whole body went numb. And I fell back on the couch. When I fell back, my legs start feeling like when you lay on your arm and they fall asleep, my legs start feeling numb. And I start hitting my legs, and I was saying, you shot me. And he was like, Jeff, stop playing. He still was frantic about the fact that the gun went off. And, I hit my legs, and then I went to get up and couldn't move. So I kept hitting my legs. I'm like, look, you shot me. I need to get out of here. So I would start looking around to see if it was any blood on me. And I ain't see no blood. So I was kind of confused because I was feeling weird. And then I started losing my breath. I couldn't really breathe. So I was trying to figure out, why am I feeling like this, but I'm not seeing any damage, any blood anywhere. But what happened, the bullet was so hot when it went in, it closed the hole back up. It like burned the hole back closed, just to let you know how hot this bullet was. So I started bleeding internally. So my lungs started filling up with blood. So he immediately grabbed me, and we was on a 5th floor apartment in the Bronx. So he ran down the steps. He carried me and ran down the steps with me, and my brother was behind him. So when we made it to the street, I tried to stop a cab, and the cab driver wouldn't let me in the car because he was carrying me. So the cab driver was asking me, Jeff, asking me like, what happened to you? So when I realized that the cab driver wasn't really cooperating, I just said to him, I broke my leg, because I figured if I said I got shot, that was going to alarm him even more. And I really was trying to get to the hospital. So he let me get in the cab. When I got in the cab, we ended up going to the hospital. So on my way to the hospital, my friend is telling me like, Jeff, don't tell on me. I'm going in and out of conscious, because I'm losing my breath. And, I told him, I won't tell, because growing up in the Bronx, in these neighborhoods, it was like this code of the streets where we don't snitch. So even at such a young age, I was familiar with the code, and I understood that we just don't do that. And so I told him, me and my brother agreed, like, we're not going to tell on him. I'm going to just say I was outside, somebody was shooting, and I got hit by a straight bullet. So we ended up driving to Lincoln Hospital. When I got to the door of Lincoln Hospital, I passed out. So when I woke up again, I was in the OR. They was put a hose in my side to pump the blood out my lungs so I could breathe. And I just remember my mother walking down the hallway, and she walked right past me. And when she looked and saw the bullet hole in my side, she's like screaming, like, because they called her and told her I got sick at school. So she sees me laying there. She's like, who shot him? So my brother and my friend was standing in the hallway with the detective. So the detective came over. He said, I think one of them did it. So my mother said, it's no way one of them did it. That's his brother, his friend. So then one of them ended up saying that I was in the building, and two of us were saying I was outside. So the detective kind of figured out that somebody was lying. So he said, I really think one of them did it. And my mother went over there and told my brother, I don't care about this code of the street. Tell me who shot Jeff. So my brother just pointed to my friend, and that's how they found out who
Wow.
shot.
Wow. What a traumatic experience. And I mean, at 13 years old, like, it's not much that you could at that point be figuring out other than what happened, and how could this happen? And at the same time, did you feel anything towards, because you said I've heard your story and been around you, and you said how close you were to your friend, as
Right.
far as be having to choose, and we know, I'm from Harlem, you're from the Bronx, and we know the codes of the street,
Right.
right? But this was such a traumatic experience. And did you feel like you should tell on him, to tell the cops, or to turn him in, for a lack of a better term? Or what were you going through while your mother is saying, listen, this is my son, we need to do this, we need to say something? What were you going through at that moment? Can you remember?
I think mentally, for some reason, at that moment, I didn't really want to tell on him. I didn't even feel like telling on him because I didn't know the severity of my situation.
Oh, okay.
I was more like, okay, I got shot. I made it to the hospital. And I was more thanking him for getting me out the house and getting
Right.
me to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. And, sipping on air, trying to breathe.
Mm.
I mean, that 10 minutes was probably the longest 10 minutes I ever had the experience trying to breathe. So I think one side of me was more focused on, like, surviving and am I going to die? Because, the longer that trip was to the hospital, the more I was feeling like, am I going to die? Am I okay? I really didn't know
Right.
what my status was. So I was more thanking him for the fact that he got me there, because I had
Right.
no idea what my future was holding at that moment. So at that moment, I really wasn't mad at him. I just was more trying to survive and trying to breathe at that moment.
Wow, Jeff.
Yeah.
So kind of fill in, because like I said, it's impossible to talk to you in one show. We haven't even dug deep into all of the things that you have achieved, driving cars and all kinds of things, and fashion and everything. We'll get to that. But between the age of 13 and 18 is when, I guess, the reality check was with you daily, in
Yeah.
terms of like them saying that you're not going to walk again. And I remember you telling part of your story about your mom, and she said something, a powerful statement to you while you were in the hospital. I'm sure you remember what she said
Yeah.
to you. Can you share that?
Yeah, one of the things my mother told me, like, if you got to be in this wheelchair, I want you to get in and act like you're on a Rolls Royce. I want you to still be that great person you was going to be, whether you was walking or you sitting in this chair. But if you got to live in a wheelchair, I want you to be the best person you can be in that chair. And, my mother said, everybody gave up on you. So I need you to help me help you so we can
Mm,
overcome that situation. And
that's so powerful. Right there, the encouragement and the shift in your mind, despite the people, your mother. And I remember you also said it like, if you're going to do the, if you do the, I'm going to do it with you. Are you
Right.
going to, in other words, if you're going to fight, I'm going to fight with you. So what are you going to do? You're going to sit and just deteriorate, or are we going to fight and get past this?
Yeah. And I think one of the things that helped me, the doctors encouraged them not to tell me what my status was.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first 3 months, I was in the hospital, smiling, laughing. I remember my mother bringing a newspaper in and telling me, I was in the paper. I was
Mm-hmm.
excited about it. I mean, it was the weirdest
Yeah.
thing looking back, because initially for that beginning, I wasn't sad about the situation, because I honestly believed in my mind that the bullet hit me. I took the bullet, and once I had the operation, they removed the bullet off my spine, that I would be okay. So that
Mm-hmm.
first 2 or 3 months, I was okay. I was smiling. I was,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was trying to figure out, like, when is this gonna really hit him? Like, because
Right.
they knew I didn't know, so they didn't even
Mm-hmm.
understand. Like, but as the days went by, I started losing hope, because a week went by, I still can't feel my legs. A month went by. So I think maybe by the third month, I couldn't even sit up. The doctor came in and he said to hand my mother some pamphlets to put me in a nursing home. When
Mm-hmm.
he did that, that changed everything on how I was feeling about the situation. And he took the hell of my brother in the hallway. And when they came back, they just looked like they was broken. And
Mm-hmm.
I asked them, like, I guess at that point he let my mother know, like, look, you need to put him away. It's nothing he can really do with him, and it's going to be too much of a burden for you to take him home. So, here's some great nursing homes for you to choose from. You could talk to him about it. And they
Mm-hmm.
basically came back in that room, and I asked my brother. My mother like went for a walk. I asked my brother, like, all I need to know is, like, what's really going on here. Like, am I gonna
Right.
walk it? And my brother couldn't even look at me. He just said no,
My God.
put his head down, and I just waited for them to leave, and I probably cried from that day to the rest of that month. Like,
I'm
I
sure.
just I was so hurt and broken that I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't I couldn't sit up. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I would just have won a basketball championship at Sacred Heart, and I'm thinking to myself, so many things I'm never gonna be able to do. Like, I never even got to really drive a car. I never really got to have a family. I never really got to. It was a list of things that just was playing over and over in my head, of all the things that I'm never gonna be able to do, and all the things I can't do now because I
Yeah.
can't even. No,
Yeah.
I'm like,
What a mental challenge. What a mental challenge, Jeff. And I told you early on in the chat, sometimes they'll ask questions. So we kind of have like a little dance with the
yeah, yeah,
chat while we're on. So there's a couple of questions in the chat, and before it loads up, I want to just attend to a couple of them and just it's in right in line with what you're talking about. But before I do that, I guess at that point, when you finally the reality of the acceptance, that's what you're saying. It
right,
was an acceptance, an understanding that, okay, now that must have been, like you said, I don't know when you might have stopped crying. You were so young, just was so very young and thought your life was totally over. But even though this has happened to you, I so love how you fought the good fight of faith, is what we call it, and you pushed through many barriers. But I want to put up a comment, one of the comments from Ine. Ine says, she's asking, I am not on my equipment. So she says, did the friendship
survive.
survive?
I mean, I think I probably have the most unique friendship that somebody could ever have, because I ended up forgiving my friend. And I think forgiveness is probably one of the most powerful chapters in my book, because I think that's one of the hardest things for people to do under those circumstances to that level. Because I see through life and society, people don't forgive people for things less than that.
True.
So for somebody to shoot you, put you and leave you paralyzed for the rest of your life, and you to be able to have a friendship and forgive that person, I think
Mm-hmm.
it takes a different kind of person, a different kind of mindset. So to answer her question, this friendship survived to the point where my friend has Thanksgiving and Christmas with my family. And not only
Okay.
did I forgive him, my whole family forgave him.
Wow. And as you say that, that answers this young lady's question. She says, what was the effects of the friendship afterwards? Well, you just
I
gave
think
that answer.
I think that's a good question, because
Mm-hmm.
The difference with this question, the effects of the friendship wasn't coming from me and him. The
Uh-huh.
effect was coming from people around us that couldn't understand. When I
Mm-hmm.
would have get-togethers, like I might have a party or something for my birthday, why is he in this room? And one of the things
Mm.
I did in my book that I wanted to address that in the book because it talked about like me. I described that scenario where one of my friends came to me and said, "Jeff, why is he here? Like, why are you even friends with him?" And I asked, like, even when I do speeches, one of the questions I always ask my audience, and even to this audience, I want to ask the same question:
Mm-hmm.
would you forgive the person that shot you if they did that to you? And all the people that tell me no, I want you to be the shooter and switch roles, and then tell me if you shot somebody, would you want them to forgive you?
Wow. Wow.
And the reason I asked that question is because, like, a lot of people who in this audience drive, and you have people that I've met in this journey and speaking and mentoring and talking to different families who have family members who are recently injured in different situations where you're the driver of this car, you crashed the car and it wasn't intentional, but now
Mm-hmm.
your best friend is that passenger that ends up paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
How do you move on? How do you move forward? And this is why, like, I want to explain in this segment that forgiveness is not me letting somebody get away with shooting me, but lifting that burden off my wings so I can soar.
Yes. And that's the key. That's the key. And we know that it takes a hell of a person to sit in that, to sit in what has happened, but also to sit in it, to in that same space to forgive the person who actually put you in that space. And
Yes.
that is just an incredible, incredible how that's what I'm saying. Like from 13 going forward, you were going through so many exchanges of emotions with yourself and your mind,
Yes.
right? Because the emotions here and here can battle. And this is the one we have to win, right? Because if this lines
Definitely.
up, the heart will agree. The heart
Definitely.
will agree. And so, yes, it is just, you're just such a blessing. You're just such a blessing. I want to keep going with another question. And then, oh, this is good. This is good.
And I mean, just to answer the elephant in the room, I mean, because if I'm an audience, one thing I want to know, like, did it ever cross my mind, like you just said, that battle between reality and what's in your mind? So there were definitely nights where I'm laying in that bed and I can't breathe and I'm using the bathroom on myself and it's crossing my mind like this is the person that did this to me. So did that revenge ever cross my mind? Of course it did, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that battle that I had with myself, it was
Mm-hmm.
constantly one side was constantly reminding me if he wouldn't have took you to the hospital, you wouldn't have made it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the other side was playing over and over in my head where my mother was saying, I forgive him because they both was kids, and if Jeff could have shot him playing with the gun the same way he shot Jeff.
True.
And I think the people around me, giving me that reasonable outcome is what was constantly my aunt telling me things like, no matter what the family, even if we decided to get revenge, it's not going to change you walking out this hospital. So it was things like that that kept me on the right side of that
Wow.
decision.
That's so good because the village around you was giving you hope and still speaking life into
Yeah,
you, which was so important. And I can only imagine your friend just like cowering down, not even wanting to be in a space with any of your
exactly.
family. It took a courage of him to not run away because of his shame and guilt that he felt.
Yeah,
But love covers a multitude of sin. Love never fails. And I love the fact how you're adding in about the forgiveness, Jeff, and the way that all of us have to really tap into whatever has been done to us that we know we didn't deserve it or a friend did something. Like you said, it's less than taking a bullet. So it should be easier to forgive. This story
yeah.
is so, that's why your book, we're going to segue because it's so much to talk about. But I want to put up Inae's comment. She says, like again, she said, that's a good question. I would, but I'll be honest, I would roll my eyes for a little while.
I love that.
and Nay is that one that will bring the humor into
Yeah,
the
I love
chat.
that.
She'll bring the
Definitely.
humor. Yeah, that was good. That was good. And so there's another comment here before we press on. I think it was oh no, Sandra Birthright. I think she misspelled a word, but I'm going to try to see what she was saying. She says, I'm sure you don't want me to feel what I'm feeling, but I do admit you. And then she correct herself. She said, she meant to say she admires you,
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Sandra.
not admit she admires you. Amen. That is so wonderful. Oh, Jeff, what a special, special person you are. Okay, so I'm gonna let you jump back and forth the way you want to, but I do want to talk about the first book is No Boundaries, No Limits, right? Or is
No,
it Boots
feet
Off the
off the
Ground?
ground. Yeah.
Boots Off the Ground. Tell us how Boots Off the Ground. Tell us, and they will put it in the chat where they can get it as you're speaking. Tell
My
us
feet are
where
off the.
my feet are off the ground. Correct.
Yes.
That boots on the ground is in all of our heads, right? That's
Right,
all
right,
we
right.
you know, we
You're right,
see the
right. The flags. Where my
tell
fans at.
there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell us how because I know we jumped around, but we're gonna be back and forth, and I know you're coming. You're just gonna be a staple here because you just bring so much to people, and that's what we're about here. Tell us about the book. When did it resonate? Okay, so no, before we get to the book, let's talk about the other things that you did first, which is going to talk to the youth and going to corporate organizations. And as a matter of fact, before you skip to there, tell us what you did yesterday.
Yesterday, I had the honor of being in Fashion Week for Daniel Levers. At first, he does most of the leather jackets, Averex jackets, and fur coats for like most of the celebrities, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Cardi B, mostly anybody you can think of that has hit a runway in fashion. And he gave us a platform. And when I say us, I always represent the disability community.
Mhm.
People that use wheelchairs, people that have any disability, whether it's physical or hidden, because
Mm.
I think a lot of times we didn't have a voice. So being that I have the voice, I want to speak for all of us and on behalf of all of us. Um, but I think what was powerful about this whole event, it is when you think of fashion, when you think of beauty, when you think of runways and modeling and things like that, people count people like us out. People feel like,
Mhm.
well, you don't fit the bill. And one of the things that I've basically dedicated my life to is knocking that door down and changing the way people see me, changing the way people think about people in wheelchairs, people with disabilities, because not only for myself, but I just think it's good to be open minded because any one of us can end up in these situations. But to see them give us a platform like that and to see the talent that came out of that runway and
Wow.
the same way we graced the runway, like my whole thing was the wheels are up like a plane and now I'm getting ready to hit the
Wow.
runway. So
I
I
wish
wheelie down
oh,
the runway. I wheelie down the runway, spent the chair a couple of times, and
oh.
just having those cameras, the spotlight, having the
Mm.
audience roaring and things like that, it just makes you feel like a human being, makes you feel like you belong. And one of the things
Wow.
I faced and one of the challenges I think in life, period, is being accepted for the right reasons, not trying to follow people, not trying to fit in, but just feeling like you belong, feeling like you have a role in society. And even though
Absolutely.
early on nobody gave me the role, I demanded the role because
That's right.
I was a part of what everybody else do. I want to be a part of that.
Right, that's right. I wish I would have been in that room when you on that runway. I mean, because you know you fly anyway. See, people don't know. You see, y'all got to see him when you see him on behind the camera right now. Y'all got to see him like in the real flesh. You got to see his whole how they say the drip. Did I say
Yeah,
it
the
right?
drip. Yeah, the drip. And I think fashion makes you feel good. Dressing up.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I remember being in the hospital. I was in the hospital Christmas Day, and my mother asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And at the time, they had the leather bombers with the fur collars, and
Yeah.
I asked her for one, and she couldn't understand it. She was like, "Jeff, you can't even go outside. Why you want the coat?" So I had her. She bought me the coat. They surprised me for Christmas. Bought me the coat. I put the coat on in my hospital bed because I didn't want to wear the gowns. I always made her bring me clothes from home because
Right.
it made me feel like I was outside because I couldn't
Right.
lost that reality of being outside. I was in the hospital like 9 months. So I
Wow.
just wanted to dress up because I feel like when you look good, you feel good,
For
you know?
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. But these folks gotta know. I can't let you just, because you sit behind the camera. They gotta know. We didn't even get to your how you created fashion. You got your shoe line. We're gonna get there. We're gonna guess why I said this cannot happen in one show. And I want to put somebody here that is proud of you, and I'm sure you proud of her. And she says, Jeff is my
Oh,
mentor.
thank you. I want to touch on that just for a second.
Please. That's why I
You know,
segued into it. Go for it.
like when you think about people with disabilities and you think like, and you're in a wheelchair and like things that I've accomplished, like one of the things that touched me the most is like when an able-bodied person tells me they proud of me or they like I'm a mentor, right? Or it's like you're a role model for them. It just goes to show you when you look past the disability and just look at a person for being a person and their abilities, how powerful that can be. And like me and Shanika worked together on her book, and she just released her children's book that I definitely want to shout out because she worked
Wow.
hard on it. I helped her along the way. I also did a children's book. Um, and I love the title of her book, Let's Get to Know Each Other, right?
Mm,
And, it's just powerful just to be able to help somebody else, when
mm.
you're counted out so much that you start to feel like you don't exist,
Yeah.
and one of the things like when I first got in a wheelchair, I got shot in 1982. This is before 88 was even enacted. So there was
Mm.
no ramps, no buses just to put people in that
Right.
frame, no lifts on the buses, no ramps, no public access. I mean, 90% of the people who become disabled can't even go back home because some of the buildings they lived in are like walk up fifth floor building apartments. And then the doorways and things like that, which we'll get into a little later. But just
Right.
that accessibility was hard for me too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And seeing her in the chat and she's saying exactly, thanks, Jeff. I mean, again, again, and again. And it doesn't really put a level of pride on you. It puts pride on you for what you've overcome and what you still give. I love the fact that you said that you like representing and being the voice for people with disabilities, whether they're visible or invisible, because there are many people that sit home in silence, in pain, but you don't see them, nor do they have a voice. And so disability comes in different colors, different pressures, different ways, and you tap into all of them. And so let's move to your book, part of your book. Let's talk about My Feet Are Off the Ground. When did you publish that book?
2021, I self-published the book. No Amazon, no Barnes and Nobles. I sell the book myself off my
Mhm,
website, JeffreyLorenzowilliams.com.
mhm.
And the reason why initially I decided um, to do it that way is because it's a motivational and inspirational book. And like you just tapped into the fact that I know us a lot of people with hidden disabilities,
Mhm.
and whether it's a disability or not, just the fact that people who go through challenges. So my platform is not just for people with disabilities, it's for
Right.
anybody who's been faced with pain, challenges, trauma in their life, things like that, whether it's losing a parent, losing a kid. I've met people on every walk of life. So I want to be that light in their darkness because there were people in my life that I didn't even know that became that light in the darkness for me. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
that was one of the reasons why I wrote the book. So you could take this book home and read it, tap into my life and my experience, and I can walk you through that darkness and bring you
Right.
back to light and help people find themselves through my story.
Amazing. And that's so important. Sometimes we think that the pain that we walk through in life is just because we're being picked on or something. But when you sit in it and you really get quiet and ask questions like, there got to be a greater reason. why this
Exactly.
happened to me, not just why me. Of course we go through that stage, but I'm talking about once we get past that stage and we get to the point of where now the light bulb goes off, or you find that point inside you. Okay, so I see it because now you've worked through bitterness, you've worked through pain, you've worked through so many things, even though those things pop up because we know this mind. But when
Right.
you get a hold and a grip on you and why something, you see the greater purpose and the price you paid, and you turn that into such a massive story to bless not just a group of people but the world at large. And that's what you're doing, that's what you've been doing. I have so much stuff in my things in my head to ask you, but I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'm going to follow suit to what I want to say here. But I still want to talk about your plane, and I want to talk about the race car. I want to talk, I want to get there. Don't go there yet. Don't go there. So this is what I want to this is what I want to skip to. No, I'm skipping over to your book. And your real estate career show a powerful commitment to building. Was there a specific moment or a single person that helped you shift from surviving to thriving and inspired you to build a new future for yourself? Because yes, everyone, he's a real estate. He's in. Okay, you go. You just go.
So when I was in the hospital, there was this little girl, Melissa, who's I wrote about in chapter 4 of the book, and she was 7 years old, and she would come to my room every day, and I'd be crying, and she'd say to me, Jeff, when you think you have it bad, somebody else has it worse. So that's kind of what stopped me from looking at what I can't do to what I could do. And then I start shifting and asking myself, Jeff, rather than saying you can't do all these things, because I had this whole list of things that I thought I couldn't do because
Mm-hmm.
the people around me, like the doctors, was telling me you will never do this again.
That you will
But
never
it
do
was
it.
my mother sitting in that chair falling asleep every night. And before we would talk hours at a time, and she would say to me, Jeff, you're going to be great. You're going to do everything you thought you couldn't do. Right. So
Right.
when I would listen to that, would constantly play over my head, and listening to what Melissa would say to me.
Wow.
And every day she would come in my room and I'd be crying, and she'd say, Jeff, wipe your eyes. Remember what I told you. When you think you have
Mm.
it bad, somebody else has it worse. It was hard for me to cry after that because she was 7 years old and I was 30.
7.
And when you're younger, that age gap is really big. So I'm thinking, how's this 7-year-old girl in a wheelchair smiling? And this is why mentoring was so important for me later
Wow.
on. Because I'm
Okay.
like, who would ever think a 7-year-old could be a mentor to somebody 13? And
Right.
like they say, I always looked at her like an angel. So
I was
then
getting
one
ready to say
morning,
she was your angel. Yes.
and the energy she gave me when she would come in that room every morning, because I was in the hospital, like I said, 9 months. So when one morning, she didn't come to the room. So I sent the nurses to go get her. And I asked her, where's Melissa at? And the nurse told me she had to go to surgery because she had brain cancer. So
Mm.
she had went to surgery. So then, later on that day, I'm like, did she come back? I'm looking for her because she would lift me up every morning. So
Right.
she never came back. So I asked the nurse what happened to her. And the nurse told me she passed away in the surgery.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
you know, that was like constantly just breaking me, because you got to think I'm on a pediatric ward. I'm 13 years old. And all of these things is what triggered this book. As it was stuff that I felt like I wanted her to live through me. So I wanted to bring her back alive in this book.
Wow.
So
Wow.
40 years later, that's what I decided to do. So I
Jeff.
dedicated one of those chapters to her life.
Jeff. I'm going to jump through the camera, through the screen. I mean, again, we have to look for those silent things, those things that we don't think are important, that is sent to us to help us get through storms. We
Yes.
have to not just say, well, that didn't mean anything. Everything has a meaning that comes your way. This little girl was your angel. This was God releasing strength to you through a child of 7 years old, that even as you speak now is attributed to her speaking that voice. That's why a lot of times people say, well, kids can't. Yes, kids can give you a
Yeah.
word. Kids can give you something for you to fight another day or more. And so we just really, salute Melissa. Is her name Melissa?
Yes.
We salute her today. We even give her a bravo, for being who she was. And I'm sure if she was like that with you, she might have tapped into a couple of other rooms while she was there
Yeah,
on that
definitely.
ward. Because if she was that little feisty little girl that could walk in and say, okay, enough tears, enough tears. Come on now. I'm telling. And so it's just amazing. See, the connecting the dot. This goes back to when you sit in it. When you sit in it and you move away, and you can have the pity party, but you can't live there, right? Because if you're still breathing, it has to be a reason why you're still here. And you have tapped into so many dynamics just from the incident, even the friendship being saved of your dear friend who shot you, right? And so here we are today. This book, oh my God, is so powerful. And I think, and let me put the link up again. We're putting links up. We got links all over the place with Jeff. I'm going to keep putting them up all the time while he's here. You can purchase Feet Are Off the Ground. You can get that book, because I guarantee you it's going to encourage you. It's going to cause you to change, even as a person. It'll cause you to change as a person. And so this is just so powerful. Now, we have someone else in the audience that you do know, and I talked about her with you a little while ago. She said, hey, Pastor Sheila and Jeff. Jeff,
Hey, how
this is
you doing?
powerful. There's
How
Elaine.
how are you?
Elaine, yes, he says, how are you? Isn't that something? Elaine knows Jeff from the Bronx. I didn't know it. I'm up here bragging about him and talking to her about you. She said, I know him. I said, oh, okay.
Yeah, college
Amen. Yes,
and
yes.
John Jay College as well.
The college, right? Okay. See, now you're getting ready to go off into the okay. Before I give this next question, let's talk. I mean, this question here. Let's talk about. Let's back it up, because we're on some back and forth type of
Yeah, we're
thing. You
gonna
get
back
it,
it
right?
up.
We back it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we back. We're gonna back it up. We're gonna back it up. Back it up into school. Back it up to the little Jeff in the hospital. 8, now 13. Okay, so let's talk about how you continued school, because you have a long, long, long history of school.
Yes.
Take me as the young Jeff when you went back to school, or if you did or you didn't.
So while I was in the hospital, like I said, that happened June 25th, 1982, the last day of school. I was thinking by September I would definitely be back at school. When I realized I wasn't going back to school, I ended up in the hospital for 9 months. My teachers got together and agreed to bring me all my lessons and teach me on
Mm,
at 4 o'clock when they would get off from school. They would come to the hospital, bring all my work for the week, teach me my lessons. I would do the homework, give it to my girlfriend at the time, because she was there from the day I got shot. She stood by me. Her name was Denise. And she would take the schoolwork back to the school. And that's really how I ended up
wow.
graduating with my class. And, to this day, even when I went back to school, my teachers would help me do therapy. They would get the mats from the gym, bring them up to the classroom. They would sit
Mm,
there, help me do therapy and things like that. My classmates, like days that it rained, because my school wasn't accessible. So every morning they would carry me upstairs. 4 or 5 of the students would carry the wheelchair to my class. And
mhm,
then at lunchtime, they would carry me back down so I could go outside. But the days that it rained, a couple of the students would sit back, go get me lunch, and one of them would sit in the classroom with me and have lunch with
mm.
me while everybody else went out. So I felt like they embraced me in a way that made me feel so comfortable that I really didn't feel like I was the only person in that school in a wheelchair, even though I was. They just made me
Yes,
feel like I was another student. And that's
yes,
one of the things that probably would be a hardest challenge for most people, being the only person like you in that room. But
yeah,
for me, it became a platform because I was the only person in a wheelchair. I competed even stronger. It's almost like having two kids where your youngest kid becomes so advanced because the older kid is constantly challenging them. And I
mm,
felt like I didn't want to be the person where you got to feel sorry for me, you got to pity me. And it got so crazy where my friends would start to say, you know, Jeff just like us. So punish him the same way. So if the class got punished, they wanted me to get punished. things like that. But all of those little things made me just feel like a normal person, and it brought me back to my reality slowly, but day by day. I didn't
Yeah,
feel like I almost forgot I was in a wheelchair, which is
of
crazy.
course. Yeah,
You know,
because you had so much positivity around you that they
exactly.
wouldn't even let you sink. You had, like, again, I mean, you God sent, Jeff. I don't know if you know it, but you should know it by now. I don't
Yeah,
know if you know it, but you should know it. I'm saying it again and again and
right.
again because when I tell you, like, they call us little G's in the world, but, little gods, but God poured something in you, and the price, it's almost like how he had to pay the price for a world. And it's like you paid a price and are paying a price through this action that happened to you for a world of people to get love, to get forgiveness, to understand. It's like I always say, sometimes people are picked out to be picked on,
Right.
but there's a greater vision inside of that. And you are so like that. I just, your life has not exploded to the degree that it's going to explode, and it has already exploded. But the reason God has taken you in levels because it's so much you probably can't even handle if he pulled the curtain back, because it's so much, Jeff. It's just so much that you've done and that you're going to continue to do. So when you finish school, you went to college. So you've gotten a couple of degrees. So you
Yeah.
went to, was John Jay the first college that you went to?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So two of my friends that went with me to junior high school, they ended up going with me to Cardinal Hayes, Lamar and Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come to my house and take me to school when I went to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up graduating from Cardinal Hayes, and Bonnie and I went to John Jay College together. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, at the time, there was no accessibility, but I was catching cabs to school sometime when I was in junior high school. And my mother ended up buying an apartment around the corner from Cardinal Hayes. So I was able to go right up the block, and they still came and picked me up in the morning to take me to school. Um, but when I went to John Jay, what was interesting about that was now we coming out of the train station on 59th Street where that
Mm-hmm.
escalator is and that flight of stairs.
Right.
We navigated those stairs. Like Bonnie literally took me to school every single day for those 4 years. Then
Wow.
eventually I bought a car and I was able to drive him around or whatever we would drive to school. But what I really loved about that friendship with Barney, and it was so interesting because he had nothing to do with the shooting, he had nothing to do with the situation, but he chose to do that. And whenever I would have interviews there and things like that, and I would thank him for that. All my friends always say, Jeff, him, Lamar, and Dave, and all my friends that was there for me, they would always say, "You always thanking us, but you don't realize how much you did for us." So Barney, when I was in college, I said to him, UPS came and they was hiring. So I said, "You need a job. I want you to fill this application out." And he was like, "I can't." He When he read it, it said you have to drive. He said, "Jeff, I don't know how to drive." At the time, I had a car and I started driving. So I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Look, tonight I'm gonna teach you how to drive. So fill the application out." I took him out that night, taught him how to drive. So he ended up getting a job at UPS. He's been there 35 years now. So, it was the back and forth, you help me, I help you situation.
Oh my goodness. It's like you got my heart pumping. Like it's a lot. It's just a lot, it's good stuff. It's a lot to just realize, to stop, pause, and reflect on just your own self. And I hope the audience is stopping and pausing and reflecting, on themselves, on
Yeah,
the battles, the challenges, the do's, the don'ts, the hate, the love. I hope the audience is gravitating to what you're sharing here. It's just so powerful. It is just so very, very powerful. I want to ask you, we have the unexpected turns in life. So, what is one unexpected lesson you've learned from a failure or a setback that was not related to your accident? And how did you apply that lesson to your life or your career?
I think one major setback for me was the fact that even though I checked all the boxes,
Mm-hmm.
society didn't check the last one to accept me.
Mm,
And when I finished college, and now I'm in this job search, I remember the first newspaper paper article. One of the first ones I did was the job search, right? It's hard, but it's even harder when you have a disability. And they
Mm-hmm.
did a whole article on what that was like. And
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that changed for me was like I would go on job interviews and I'm wondering, like, every time I heard no, I'm thinking to myself, was it me? Was it the skills or was it how I looked? You know, and
Mm-hmm.
like they say, what you say can be held against you. I start believing what you look like can be held against you, right?
Mm.
I'm in a society where, like I said, at the time, I was the only person really visible in the street like that, you know, that was in a wheelchair where I'm
Mm-hmm.
showing up at the skating ring. I'm showing up places that most people in wheelchairs shouldn't be, is what society said. But
Correct.
it became something I refused to do.
Wow.
So I went on to, I started having this mindset where every time somebody tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna keep doing it because that was one of the things my mother kept instilling in me. Don't ever let nobody tell you what you
That's
can't
right.
do. And that came from that doctor wanting to send me to that nursing home.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
when I got in this job market, you know, like it was so many things. Like I'm going on a job interview, I can't even get in the building. So how can you accept me to work for your company if I can't come in the
Mm-hmm.
building? If there's no
Mm-hmm.
accessible doors, if there's steps to get into the lobby, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and that accessibility thing started to kick in, you know, where I started looking for accessible things way before ADA put them in place. I started knocking those doors down saying, this is not right. This is not going to work for me, you know,
Right.
and just refusing to give up, you know, and just constantly like I'm knocking on the door till somebody open it. You know, if this company say no, I'm going to the next company, but
Mm.
that resume is gonna show up at your door. I mean, I even
Mm.
remember one time one of my friends was working security for the hotels in Midtown, and they said, Jeff, oh, they hiring at my job. You know anybody need a job, right? And I said, doing what? They said security. I said, so what's the requirements? They said they don't have none. They said they need extra help. If you come down at night, whoever come down, they gonna hire them right on the spot. You know, and then your friends want a job. I said, I'm going with you. They start laughing. They
Mm.
said, Jeff, you crazy. How you gonna go do security? You can't do that. I,
Uh-huh.
s- I said, you know how I feel about what I can't do, right? I said, they said you had to have a all black on. I went down, I filled out the thing on, um, I filled the paperwork out and sent it in. So when I got down there, it was like maybe 100 people in the lobby. They called the names, and because my name was Williams, I was closer to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody they called, they said, "Here, go over there, get your badge, and go to this floor and start working." So when they got to the guy said Jeff Williams, I was sitting right in front of him, and he's looking for me, and he's like Jeff Williams. I'm like, I'm right here. And it was like the deer in the headlights. He's looking like, how you gonna do
Mm-hmm.
this?
Yeah.
He said, give me a minute. So he went that, but I knew from my legal background that you gotta address this. You're not sending me home tonight, you know.
Right.
So he ended up hiring me,
Yeah.
and I started working in security. I became my friend who brought me there. I became her supervisor. So, and I mean, people that know me, they
Yeah.
know once you let me in the door, and people always ask me like, Jeff, why you go to the extreme with everything? And I always say to them, I got the opportunity. It's 1,000 of me that don't get the opportunity. So when I'm in the building, I have to make them so convinced that when the next person show up, they don't send them through what I've been through.
Oh my goodness. They see you coming, Jeff. Now that Jeff is here.
Right.
That he's
Like,
here. He's
not me
here.
in the woods. I'm cutting the trees down to make a
You got-
path. That's it.
There you go with some more bravo. 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 Oh my goodness. I tell you, Jeff, I know you got so much more. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna save your next book and the other, I can't even measure it, information. Will you come back and do a part two?
Definitely. Absolutely.
You
Definitely.
promise?
Absolutely.
The people want you back. I want you
Yeah.
back. But before you go, I want you to tell me And if there's any questions in the audience, and now is your time to ask him, or not unless you're going to wait till he comes back. And it's going to be soon. It might be next week. We don't know. Have to see what his
And
schedule is like.
they can ask me any question they want. I mean, the whole thing, this is not just like an interview. This is more to help
Right.
people. You
Correct.
know, I don't need to know what their situation is. I just want to be that light for them. So whatever questions, whatever challenges that they can relate to through my story, that my answer will help them through, I'm willing to answer it.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions right now, I want you to just go ahead and put them in the chat so that we can present them to Jeff. He's definitely going to come back before he leaves this platform. When we go backstage, we're going to chat a little bit about the next date. I hope it'll be soon because I want to just keep it moving and keep it going. It's just so much to talk about. I want to talk about the airplane. I want to talk about, was that a race car that I saw?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I want to talk about your race car. I want
I
to
love
talk about
it.
I want to talk about so many things. I don't want to give them everything right now because we do have some comments in the chat that I want to put up before we leave. But this question, this last one before I put the comments up, I wanted to ask you now today, what would you tell the 13-year-old Jeff now? What would you tell the 13-year-old
What's
Jeff?
what's interesting where normally I would say don't play with the gun, don't put yourself in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think it was God's will for me to take this journey. And
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of people ask me all the time, like, Jeff, let's be real here, right? Why wouldn't you want to walk again? Right. And if I had the option to walk again, I would love to walk again. And
Mm-hmm.
I do believe I'm gonna walk again. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if I'm honest with myself, I know for a fact I would never be able to touch the lives that I've touched and change the trajectory of people in society and how they think about people with disabilities, which has superseded me walking again.
Yes. Absolutely, Jeff. I
So I
totally
think
feel.
me walking again, me walking again will satisfy me. Me being Jeff in the wheelchair has changed the world. So that's more important to me.
That's a good answer, Jeff. That's a good answer. And I talked to it's so much that's running through my mind, and just so much more to talk to you about your fashion line, your sneakers, your look. Mm-mm-mm. All I can say is
And
thank
for
you, Lord.
anybody to call, like anybody that have somebody in their family with a disability, I mean, one thing that has resonated with me, like this lady said to my mother one time, "Oh, I didn't know your son was in a wheelchair." And my mother said, "I wouldn't trade my son in a wheelchair for your son walking." And one thing my mother has always instilled in me is my mother and my family is that, you know, they love who I am as I am. And that means a lot
Mm,
to me because people ask me all the time, like, like wheelchairs have a stigma. One time they interviewed me and the guy said, "Well, Jeff, let's be honest, a wheelchair has a stigma." I said, "How can I be mad at something that takes me everywhere I go?" I said, "The wheelchair has a stigma to you. The wheelchair is a Grammy to me because it's the
that's right.
journey of everything that I've
That's right. I tell you, the philosopher, the lawyer. We didn't even get into the lawyer aspect of you. We didn't get into all of that. You have to come back next week. I'm going to see if your schedule will
Yeah,
permit you to come back next week. I think the people, if you want Jeff to come back next week, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. I'll wait for it. I'll wait for it. In the
yes,
meantime, I'm going to put some of these comments up that's been trickling here. Let's start with let's put this one up. Elaine says, "Love this. My dad was in a wheelchair, so I witnessed a man with I can do attitude." Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. Sandra Birthright has a comment. "My son was not only into fashion, he also graduated from Cardinal Hayes." Yes, Sandra's
I
son
may
went
I
home to
may
be
know
with
her.
the Lord. You might.
Wow,
He
I may
passed
have met him.
away. Yeah, you
Yeah,
might have.
sorry
He
to hear
loved fashion. And put your son name in the chat. Sandra. And I want to talk right now, put this comment up. Thanks, Jeff, for all the support and encouragement. May God continue to bless you with all the love and happiness God has for you. I ditto that. I say yes, yes. I agree. And look, we got a lot of ones. I'm not going to put the ones up. Can you see the ones, Jeff?
Nah, I can't see them.
You can't see the ones. The ones are everywhere. The ones are everywhere. I think I missed a couple of. Okay. Oh well, I'm gonna put it up because it's your mentee asking. All right.
Definitely.
Speak about how you felt becoming a father. See what we said about the show, right? Before the show, you and I. Okay, organically.
I got this. That was another like monumental moment in my life. I mean, I have so many accomplishments that I'm proud of, but having my son probably was one of those life-changing accomplishments because I remember when I first got injured, one of the first things I asked my mother was like, will I ever be able to have a kid? That was something like being a man, that was something important where, every man wants to have that son. And when Jeff Jr. came out, that really like touched me because now I'm thinking like, how do you be a father in a wheelchair? What has happened with that was another life lesson where, I'm taking my son to school every morning. And I remember even like when his mother was pregnant and I ended up at one of the classes, when you're having a baby and all the fathers come with the mothers, and I was the only one that showed up. That reality was like, I remember one of the young ladies crying because she was like, all these women are here and none of the fathers are here. And then your kid's father show up in a wheelchair. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember going to the doctor where his mother called me and said she was at the hospital. I thought something happened to her. I look up on the screen. I come in the office and they got the sonogram up on the screen with the baby. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But I haven't cried since I got shot those months back since I was about 13. And I've been so strong that I guess I was so broken that I don't have that emotional side of me anymore. I've just been thankful for what I have and just living life. But that moment was so touching because it was like God just yelled at me, I hear you,
Yes. Yes.
So have a kid naturally in a wheelchair with all the complications and challenges of just being intimate in a wheelchair. It's like, I couldn't even believe it. Like when, I have in my book about my son, I named it The Miracle because, even though I saw it with my eyes transpire, it was just another one of those things where God kept sending me things that I needed,
Yeah. Keep yelling, God. Keep yelling. Just tell him, keep yelling. Just come on and yell at me, Lord. Just keep yelling at us.
So a lot of this stuff, like people always ask me, Jeff, how do you do this? How do you do that? And if you have a spiritual side of you, it's like people say, you can say no to me. You can't say no to God.
For sure. For sure. I have one comment. Sandra put her son's name. Did you know Lawrence J. Birthright?
No. What year was he in?
Sandra, what year was he there? Yeah, she could put that in the comments. This has been so awesome. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to drop you down. We're going to meet each other backstage. Listen, all you wonderful people, all of you in the bleachers or the orchestra, I hope you hit that thumbs up button. And I hope that before we go, I want to leave you with a little commercial that I need to play for all of us. And so just sit right there.
And you could throw my email in the chat if anybody needs to talk, everybody going through something that they want to take off camera,
Okay.
Anyway, I can inspire them personally. Like,
and you could call out your email and Nay will put it in the chat.
jwilliamsrealestate@yahoo.com.
She'll put it in the chat for us. She is the best moderator in these YouTube streets. She is. I love that girl. So let's play this commercial before we leave. Everybody take a look at this.
Hey guys, what's up? What if I told you a whole movie game was created from dropping a favorite movie line? This is it, Actor Pass. you get 3 decks of fun and a 1-minute timer. Now I know what you're thinking. How the hell do you play this game? Just imagine if Charades and Taboo had a movie baby. There's literally no holding back. You get to drop your favorite movie lines, hum theme music, use actors' names, summarize the plot, and just go crazy with your gestures. Honestly, anything goes to get your team to guess as many films as possible in just 60 seconds. The best part is that it's challenging, it's pure comedy, and everyone has to be creative. It breaks down social barriers, sparks joy, and gives everyone a chance to show up and be themselves in the most hilarious, authentic ways. Yeah, this game is about making unforgettable moments, unforgettable connections. It's simple and it's fun. Grab the original or the black pack from actorpass.com.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a promo. ActorPass is a vision that the Lord downloaded to my daughter. She didn't forget about it. What she did was she started thinking about it, planning it, and here it is, manifested. That's why you can't say, I don't have the money, I don't know how. If you just get the vision, he'll give you the resources if you just, work towards getting it. And so I'm proud of her with this game. It's so much fun. And it's a family game. It's holiday season. So you guys need to go to actorpass.com, actorpassgame.com, and grab some for presents. It's very reasonable with price. I think it's $24. The Black Pack are the Black movies that we're familiar with. That's why it's called the Black Pack. The original pack has so many other movies, right? So we have 2 separate things going on. But anyway, that's my promo for our family, not my business, but my daughter's business, ActorPass. I hope that you will, go ahead and get it for your family and your friends and help small Black business. I'm proud of her. All right. So I think, here we go. This is what we have here for you. If you are in need, you want to have a chat. Listen, this man here, if you want to chat, if you're having a moment, he's telling you, just email him. You need some real estate. We didn't even get to the real estate. We didn't even get it. Look, we're going to see next week. So y'all pay attention to the thumbnails in these YouTube streets and see when he's going to come back. We're going to set it up. And hopefully all of you will be back. Tell a friend, somebody else put a comment. They won't let you go, Jeff. They just won't let you go. Thanks, Jeff, for all the support and courage. This continue to bless you. I think we read this, Love and Happiness. God has for you. Yes. I didn't mind reading that again. Okay, and Sandra gave you the name and everything. So listen, this has been wonderful. You saw your old school buddy here in the chat, Dr. Elaine, who's on. You got to catch her show on Monday nights. Mondays be on the mic. She's rocking and rolling in these YouTube streets. Thank you, and Nay for the super chat. The super chat. We stop everything for the super chat. People that sold, because you guys know I need to get things and do things and get new computers and stuff. So anything you give as a super chat, it goes towards something good for this platform. Bravo to you, Sheila, for bringing amazing people to speak on their amazing lives. Thank you, Jeffrey, for sharing your story. And Nay, you know how I feel about you. Thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you for always being here and having my back. Yeah, so we getting ready to tip on out of here. Listen, y'all got to stop. More comments? Jeff. More comments. Oh, okay. So, and they put ActorPass. She put the link up for ActorPass on game.com. Go ahead and go on over there and order some of those games. It's a fun family time game. All right, let's see what I can do. I can skate out of here before they try to bombard us again. Anyway, we love you. We love you. We love you. Jeff, don't go nowhere. Listen, all of you, thank you. I am streaming on both channels tonight, the Bravo with Sheila Network, as well as the Sheila Ingram Ministry Network. I had to push this over there because this is ministry work. Whether you say it or not, it is what it is. I thank all of you for being here. Those of you up in the bleachers or in the box seats or wherever. Of course, the chat, smooches to you. God bless you. We're going to bounce on out of here, okay? Okay. We'll see you again next week. We're going to play my artist song, Goat Mode, because Jeff is the GOAT.
What's up when we showing up? They told me be the best I can be. I ain't the definition of GOAT, it's the definition of me. 10,000 hours, time to take the game mastery, and I'm in GOAT mode with this Mamba mentality. Let me see those hands now. Let me see you dance now. Let me see those greatest of all things. Waffle crew in the house, the greatest of all teams. Spread our talent to America like AGT, 2K23. You cannot play with me. I'm a step ahead like a stutter step that you went for. Pump fake, 4-point play like I'm Chris Paul. Vince Carter over foreign giants, hopping out the foreign like a giant known to be quiet, causing a riot. Burn the whole system down, form a new alliance. Open interpretation between spirit and science. Your reliance on our human genetics upsetting. You watch sports, so watch the black man's natural progression. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold my Kawhi Leonard. I don't really think they get it. Curry with the winning goal.